vibe, we outside. So what's going on, guys? It's your boy Evan, you know most of the number. So today we actually will be changing out the valve cover gasket on the green Jag. We got a little bit of wetness on top of the valve cover gasket itself. It's got a little bit of oil on the bottom side of it, so we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to change them out. Make sure everything is nice and clean so we don't have no drips of oil on the top part of the metal heat shield that is on top of the exhaust manifold. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change that out. I'm going to show you guys already took some of the stuff off, so let's get to it.
My heart is beating to your drum, and I'm blinded by the sunshine in your eyes. Not thinking twice, am I this dumb? Although I know you're all I want. How could I crave something so bad? My sweaty palms reveal a warning I should hear, but I don't care, you drive me mad. I'll ignore the truth and run to you. Can't help myself. You know too well I need you close. Can't help myself. Trying to stop the fire under your spell. Can't help myself. myself. You know too well I need you close. Can't help myself. Trying to stop the fall under your spell. Can't help myself.
Alright guys, so as you guys can tell, we got the valve cover off. We have the spark plugs up here as well as the other ones, but we managed to get the valve cover off. The hardest part was removing this dipstick, so you gotta, like, you know, pry up on it and pull it out. I use a flathead to give it some room underneath here to force it up, so I got it out. Valve cover is off. I'm going to try to clean a little bit better the mating surface of the valve cover on the head itself. Some of these holes had a little bit of oil, so I'm going to go ahead and use a flat head screwdriver and a rag to, you know, push it in deep enough to absorb some of that oil. Maybe use a little bit of compressed air and try to clean the remaining oil that's sitting inside the spark plug holes. Timing chain is actually pretty tight. Tensioner is actually in good I guess good working order, so it looks like it's in good condition. Nothing's wrong with it. Other than that, I'm going to clean the valve cover mating surface a little better, clean the hole with a rag and a flathead screwdriver, and then I'm going to also remove the boots and clean them because they had quite a bit of oil on this sucker. So I'm going to go ahead and clean them out, do the other side as well. No need to show you the other side. The other side is the same thing as this side, so I'm going to go ahead and just clean it up. I'm going to take it to the bench and show you the valve covers themselves. Alright guys, so we're on the bench. We got the valve covers here. Bolts are in the position I took them out. Took a picture of them so I know where they go exactly. So that's a good thing that you guys should do if you do remove them, so you know where they go, so you don't mix up the bolt locations. But over here to the side, we have the valve cover gasket that I removed. One of them actually split. The other one is just very brittle. It doesn't look like it's doing its job. There's actually silicone in these two areas where the valve cover sits on the head, so you need to put silicone on the new valve cover gasket. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the camera down, show you guys exactly how I clean it, put everything on the valve covers themselves, put the new valve cover gasket as well, and put everything back on the car. So let me get to it. I'm going to show you guys real quick. What's going on guys? So it's the next day. As you guys can tell, yesterday night we actually ended up pulling out the valve cover themselves. We removed the valve cover gaskets, cleaned up the mating surface where the valve cover meets the head, cleaned up all the oil. Was able to get a rag down there with a flathead screwdriver to clean everything up. We got no oil right now. I did take the plugs out to check them, and they looked like the plugs had a good bit of oil, a good bit of carbon deposits on the electrode. So I figured I'm going to change them and put brand new plugs that I ordered, because the plugs that were in there were not the right ones. So I went ahead and bought the right plugs for this car. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in new plugs. We're going to clean up the valve covers with some parts cleaner that I use that cleans out all the oil and stuff like that. We're going to throw in some new plugs, put on the new seals and the valve cover gaskets on the valve covers, and that should be it. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we just ended up washing the valve covers using some of my parts cleaner that I have here labeled in the clear bottle set. Parts cleaner, it's actually the degreaser that I got from Home Depot. It's a big 1 gallon blue colored bottle with purple degreaser inside, which is for cleaning oil, stains, and grease and stuff like that. Use one of my 2 hard brushes, or both of them, to clean thoroughly the valve covers on the back side and on the top side. Use some water to get all that degreaser off of it, and then I thoroughly use my compressed air to remove any excess water that was left on the back side or on the top side of the valve cover, and then just cleaned it or wiped it off with some multi-purpose cleaner to get any of that residue or degreaser that may have been left in certain spots on the valve cover. So that's pretty much it. We just did a nice wash on the valve cover, so now we're going to go ahead and put the seals on. But we're not going to put everything back on the car just yet because I'm waiting for the spark plugs and the Permatex RTV black sealant that I'm going to use on certain spots on the valve covers where it meets the head. So we're going to go ahead and just put in the seals for today, and then we're going to wait, and then hopefully tomorrow we can put everything back on the car. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so I lightly went off camera and wire cleaned the threads of the bolts for the valve cover because they were filled with a little bit of dirt, and I guess you would call a little bit of some sort of buildup, white powder buildup on the thread. So I cleaned them up. So here they are, nice and clean. Clean them as best as I can. So we're gonna go ahead and put the new O-rings or seals on the bolts, and put everything on the valve covers the way they are, and just leave it as is until we get the spark plugs. Alright guys, I wanted to give you guys a little look, or a little preview of how the plugs look. So this is how the plugs look. They are full of oil, got carbon deposits, and these are not the right plugs, even though I like the electrode and the way they are designed like this. Gives a better spark. But these are not the right plugs, even though it says Bosch Platinum. They're full of carbon deposits, and I don't want to use them again, since I'm going to put in brand new valve cover gaskets on both valve covers. I figure when I put the right plugs with the right gap, so this way it fires up correctly. It's got a good spark and a good healthy running motor with a good set of plugs. So this is how they look. I want to figure I'll show you guys. So here they are. They're black, 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 and black. So you guys get the point. But anyways, here's a preview of how they look. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and change these once the plugs come in. What's going on, guys? As you guys can tell, we got the FedEx package delivered early in the morning. I went ahead and opened it up. We got a Permatex Ultra Black gasket maker, because we need some to put on certain points of the valve cover gasket where the head meets the where the valve covers meet the head. So we need some of that. Then we need some of these Iridium IFR 5N10, stock number 7866. So the original plugs on this car is PFR 5G11E, I believe. So they don't sell those plugs anymore. They sell the updated version from NGK, which is the IFR 5N10. So they're gapped at 4.40. So that's what the manual calls for in the car. Now if you guys have a Jaguar, you have the manual in the trunk, just open it up and it should say I think 0.40 to I think 0.43, somewhere around there. I'm gonna leave them pre-gapped at 0.40. So I'm going to go ahead and check them before I put them in the car to make sure everything's right. And then that's pretty much it. So let's get to it. We got a lot of work to do, so let's get finished today and start the car up. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and open them up. I'm going to check them to see if they're gapped at that 0.04 gap. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the plugs in first. Then I'm going to put in the valve covers. You can do it any way possible. You can do the valve covers first. I'm going to do the spark plugs. I'm going to do the spark plugs first. I want to make sure they're put in first. Alright guys, so we gapped the plugs at 0.40. So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of anti-seize, even though they have a coating of anti-seize on them. I'm going to put a dab just because I had an issue where the plugs actually got stuck on me one time, even though the coating is there. I guess maybe the coating wore off or whatnot. So I'm just going to put a dab of anti-seize because I know if you put, it could throw the torque reading off. So we're going to go ahead and put just a little bit of anti-seize on the threads, not too much. Alright guys, so we're at the bench. We got some ultra black gasket maker oil resistant. We're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of this stuff on this part of the gasket right here and right here where these two areas meet on the head. So we're gonna go ahead and poke this thing. There we go. And then we're gonna get, this is my cover right here. Put a dab over here, and over here we're gonna put it on the car, and then we do the other one as well. Alright guys, so before we go ahead, the spark plug bolts are torqued down to 20 foot-pounds, and then the actual valve cover gaskets are torqued down to 9 to 11 newton meters. So I put my torque wrench at 10.5 newton meters, so it's right between 9 and 11. So we're going to go ahead and torque them in the sequence. Now you can find the workshop manual online. If you look around on the Jaguar forums, you can find the manual online. So I'm going to follow the sequence from the computer on how to torque them. So you got to go the middle bolt, and then crisscross diagonal. You get the point. So we go ahead and do that.
She's a roller coaster. Oh, she's so sick. I'm burning up inside, but I can feel no pain. I won't try to stop her. She can't be tamed. I'm so in love with her. I fall and try again. Get up and try again. Get up and try again. Get up and try again.
Alright guys, so as you saw, we just started it up. I just put on the intake system, checked to make sure there was no oil leaking from the valve cover gaskets, and now we're just going to put everything back on, tighten the bolt, put the intake system back on, put the the spark plug cover to the valve cover gasket, and that should be it. So yeah, so we just started it up, made sure everything's running good. Car started up. Seems to be running a little bit better with the plugs, or a lot better with the new plugs. Got the catch can, I rerouted the hoses a little bit better, cut some ends off. Now I'm gonna tighten up some loose ends, put everything back together, and then that should be it. So hopefully you guys keep watching. Let me just finish up real quick, and that should pretty much be it. Alright guys, so just like that, we just finished the valve cover gaskets. Now my hands are sweaty, I'm hot. It's hot outside, it was nice and cool in the morning. Towards the evening, now I got a little bit hot. But overall, we finished the valve cover gasket. I checked the bolts over, retorqued them if they needed to be retorqued. Torqued them down, obviously, as you guys may have seen with the torque wrench. Made sure the valve covers were in position. Put a little bit of what's that stuff called, the Permatex gasket maker, whatever you want to call it, on those 2 points on the valve cover gasket that touched the 2 surfaces on the head. So made sure I put some of that Permatex stuff on it. Made sure that it wasn't leaking when I started it up. You may have seen that I started it up and then I shut it off and then put everything back on. I didn't want to put everything back on the car, start it up, and you know, see dripping oil all over the place. So that's why you saw the valve covers were not fully put together. So I didn't put the spark plug cover back on or bolt down the intake system and all that stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay and there was no drips of oil. So pretty happy with how it went. There's no leaks, there's nothing. Before there was oil in the spark plugs, we changed out the plugs, we put some iridium plugs in it. I started it up and you can immediately tell just by listening to the exhaust that the car was running a lot better. So I'm very happy with the way stuff came out and how everything went down. So I'm pretty happy overall. The car is in good condition. This car here is in good condition. It's adult driven, so you know, I'm pretty happy, man. This car basically has no issues. So just you know, small maintenance stuff that we had to do, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me do this stuff. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's tiring, it's stressful, but I'm happy we got it done. And with that being said, guys, I'll definitely be catching you guys in the next video.